Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome to my review of the EMAX ECO motors. These motors came out a couple of months ago, and I have a couple of sets of them I've been running and beating the crap out of on a couple of different freestyle quads. So I wanted to run them for a little while and see how they were kind of long term before I went ahead and did a review. What's interesting about these guys is they are $12 motors, so very budget friendly motors. They only come in 2306 and they come in 2 kV choices, 2400 for 4S and 1700 kV for 6S. I've been running the 1700 kV ones. So far I've been really impressed. Let's go ahead and take a look. Right off the bat, the packaging is pretty simple. You know, when you evaluate a budget motor, you have to figure out where they saved their money, right? Like, why is this motor less than half the price of a premium motor? You know, like a Hype Train or a T-Motor F40 Pro, those motors are like $26. These are half. So where's the money going, or what are you getting? So when you see simple packaging, that's a good sign. That means that they didn't waste money on the packaging. So you've got a cardboard box, a couple of stickers, and a little foam insert that holds the motor. You get screws for 3mm arms, which are semi-useless because I don't know who uses 3mm arms anymore. 4mm arms, these are okay, but whatever. You get a very basic aluminum prop nut here. Works fine. I've used these. They're plain, they're silver, but they're nothing wrong with them. And you also get a spare bell retaining screw that goes in the bottom of the motor, and the washer, so in case you lose or need to replace the bottom hardware. All right, let's take a look at the motor. And having a look at there is a nice lip on the bottom of the bell here. And the magnets don't seem to be too thick, although you can't see the whole magnet. The air gap is reasonable. I don't think these are curved magnets, so that may be where they saved some of the money in the motor. You do have a 16x16 mounting pattern, which is really what you want. Naked bottom design. Hollow steel shaft, which is also cheaper than a titanium shaft, but I actually like the steel shafts. The titanium shafts, they bend, so I prefer a steel shaft, even though, you know, it's obviously heavier than titanium. I think it's one of the parts of the motor you really want to be strong. You do have a little bit of a like anti-slip for the prop here, and let's weigh it, and then we'll pull the bottom off so we can, or we'll pull the bell off so you can get a better view. 31.3 with all the wires, so it's not a heavy motor. The weight is actually pretty good, especially considering there's a steel shaft there. Let's get the screw out the bottom here, and we'll take a better look inside. It is the head on this screw is a 1.5, so you definitely want to be careful. If it doesn't come out easy, you may want to heat it up to break the Loctite in there, but this one comes right out. Bell came off pretty easy there. There is some black, I don't know why, well, I guess it doesn't matter what color. There's some balancing mud in here, if you can see that. So they are balanced at the factory. And it's hard to tell. The magnets don't seem like they're super thick. So my experience with this motor has been that it's got decent power, but nothing, I would say it's like average to below average for a 2306 motor. It's not super power or anything like that. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be necessarily, I wouldn't, you're looking for like a high output motor specifically for racing, maybe this is not the choice for you. But for a freestyle motor, it's been really good. And there is not all motors are like this, so be careful. There is a washer on top of the bearing as well. One of the highlighted features of this motor is it's supposed to have a EZO or EZO 4x9x4 bearing, and that's definitely a 4x9x4 bearing in there, but I don't see any markings. I don't see any markings on the bearing, so we'll just have to trust that it is a EZO bearing. And the benefit of the EZO bearing is that's the kind of high-end bearing that you'll find in premium motors. They're great bearings. That's part of, my opinion, you really need the bearing to, or at least I do, you need that bearing to be strong, because when you knock your motor, that bearing gets crunchy in there, and it really affects the smoothness of the motor. So you definitely want a bearing that's going to be smooth and stand up to a lot of abuse when you knock the motor around. Nothing fancy about the windings. This is the 1700 kV one, so the 2400 should have more winding. And what's nice is they did stamp the, if you can see that, the kV on the bottom of the base of the stator. So, no frills going on here with the windings, but if that's an EZO bearing like they say it is, that's definitely a big plus. And the inside of the bell. So far, the bells have been pretty tough. I'm going to show you the ones I've been running here in a second, so you kind of see how they take damage. Doesn't look like there was much, if any, Loctite on that screw, but we're definitely putting some Loctite on that screw before we put that back in. We don't want that coming out. So this is one of the two rigs I've been flying these motors on. This is a 5-inch Sabotage RC Dingo, and I have probably put, I don't know, 25 or 30 packs through these. I've beat them up pretty good, I'll be honest with you. So, I mean, these are quads that I typically, I fly the crap out of. So you can see here where I do have some scuffs on one of the bells. I have crashed these motors quite a bit. I have not had a bell, typical things that happen to me when motors break is you'll bend a bell out of shape, and then it will drag on the stator and need to be replaced, or you can bend a shaft, or you can just break a bell outright. And yeah, I have those bearings sound, that's the one thing, I'll be honest with you, like, without seeing markings on the bearings, I'm gonna, I guess, have to trust EMAX that these are EZOs in here. This one sounds a little bit crunchy, but I've crashed the crap out of this quad, so that could just be normal, but still flies smooth. And I have banged them up, and they're not, there's no kind of taking wear and tear, just like, pretty much any other motor. But I have nothing strange going on, nothing breaking early. So durability, I would say, so far has been pretty good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, out of all the budget motors I've seen, these may be the best. I like the way they feel. Like I said, not a ton of power compared to maybe the highest end motors, but definitely enough. They're not super weak either. Yeah, I think EMAX has done a good job. Yeah, I've been really impressed with these so far. At this price, you kind of can't go wrong. Premium motors, the bells cost $12. You get the whole motor for $12. I like them. I'm probably going to get another set or two. If you're looking to, maybe convert some of your 4S quads over to 6S and you don't want to spend a ton on motors, this is probably a good choice. That's what I did. I converted a couple of quads I fly a lot over to 6S using these, and, instead of spending over $100 per rig, you're talking about 12 times less than $50 to put these on. Efficiency is good. The smoothness is definitely good. They feel very smooth. Like, the air gaps aren't super tight, so they're not super notchy, but with a good bearing, they feel really, really smooth. And for freestyle, I think that's kind of the most important thing. For me to even consider using a low price motor, it does have to check a couple of critical boxes, like things that I just, have to have. One of them is the screw instead of the C-clip on the bottom. I won't deal with C-clips on the bottom of motors anymore. If you've got a C-clip on the bottom of your motor, I'm just not going to buy it, because it's really a pain in the ass to service the motor, to take it apart. Number two, I do prefer steel shafts, and I am a big fan of the EZO bearings. Most of the other motors I use have them. The primary motors I use besides these are the Hype Train 2450s and the T-Motor F40 Pros. Those both use the same 4x9x4 EZO bearing. And those are typically really, really good, really smooth, really robust. For 12 bucks, you kind of, the motor hasn't fallen apart. I've done about 20 or 30 packs on this one. The other quad I have that has the same motors on, I've put like 15 or 20 packs through, and I've yet to break a motor or burn a coil or bend a bell. And I think they're decent looking. You know, not that really matters, but they don't look super cheap. They kind of just look standard. Stay tuned, check out the flight footage. You can kind of see how this guy flies. I do have an arm I need to change back here on the back, so you might see a little bit of wobble or oscillation, especially when I really spin up the motor. That's not really the fault of the motors. That's this arm really needs to be changed in the back here, and I didn't really realize until I was out in the field. Yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.